Psalm 22, a chapter that has echoed through the ages, touching the hearts of countless individuals. A psalm of raw emotion, it captures the essence of human suffering and the profound depths of despair. It's a cry from the depths of despair, a lament that resonates with anyone who has ever felt the weight of the world on their shoulders. But it also holds a message of hope. Amidst the sorrow, there is a glimmer of light, a promise of redemption. This psalm is a prayer, a heartfelt plea to God, seeking solace and understanding in times of trouble. King David wrote it during a time of deep trouble. His words reflect his anguish, his sense of abandonment, and his unwavering faith. He felt alone and abandoned. His cries echo the feelings of isolation that many of us experience in our darkest moments. Have you ever felt that way? Lost in a sea of faces, yet feeling completely invisible? Like you're in a pit and can't get out? Struggling to find a way, yearning for a helping hand? David's words resonate even today. They speak to the universal human experience, reminding us that we are not alone in our struggles. They remind us that we are not alone in our struggles. God hears our cries. He sees our pain. He is with us, even in our darkest hours. This psalm is a journey through the valleys of despair and the peaks of hope. It takes us from despair to hope, from the shadows of doubt to the light of faith, from the darkness into His glorious light, a transformation that brings peace and understanding. Are you ready to take that journey, to walk the path from sorrow to joy, from despair to hope? Join us as we delve into the profound depths of Psalm 22 and discover the timeless message it holds for each of us. David, a shepherd boy who became a king, a warrior who faced giants, yet he experienced deep despair. He knew what it meant to hurt, to feel alone, to question everything. In Psalm 22, we see this side of him, the raw, vulnerable side. He didn't hide his pain. He poured out his heart to God. He cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" David's vulnerability is powerful. It reminds us that it's okay to not be okay, to admit our struggles, to cry out to God. David's words are filled with anguish. "I am a worm and not a man," he cries. He feels scorned, mocked, despised. His enemies surround him. They pierce his hands and feet. They divide his clothes. They cast lots for his garment. These words paint a vivid picture of suffering. David feels utterly alone, abandoned by God and hunted by his enemies. His pain echoes through the ages. It speaks to the pain we all experience, the pain of betrayal, loneliness, and fear. Even in the darkest depths, David clings to hope. He remembers God's faithfulness. He recalls his past deliverances. "In you, our ancestors put their trust," he writes. "They trusted, and you delivered them." David chooses to remember God's goodness. He acknowledges God's sovereignty. "From my mother's womb, you have been my God," he declares. His faith, though shaken, is not broken. This glimmer of faith is a beacon. It reminds us that even in our darkest moments, God is there. We must hold on to that truth. Section 5, our Psalm 22 moments. Finding hope in despair. We all have Psalm 22 moments, times when life feels overwhelming, when darkness threatens to consume us. Maybe you're facing illness, loss, or disappointment. Perhaps you feel alone, betrayed, or forgotten. Your pain is real, but remember, you are not alone. Just as David cried out to God, so can you. Pour out your heart to Him. He cares. In those dark moments, remember David's faith. Cling to the truth of God's love. Hold on to His promises. He will never leave you. Section 6, From Anguish to Assurance, the Turning Point. This chapter marks a pivotal moment in our journey through Psalm 22, a moment where despair begins to transform into hope, and anguish gives way to assurance. As Psalm 22 progresses, we see a profound shift. The psalm, which begins with a cry of abandonment, starts to reveal a glimmer of hope. The darkness that once enveloped David's heart begins to lift, and the first rays of dawn break through the night. David's anguish begins to give way to hope. His prayers, once filled with sorrow and desperation, start to reflect a renewed sense of trust in God's faithfulness. It's a powerful reminder that even in our darkest moments, there is always a possibility for change, for renewal. His cries of despair transform into songs of praise. The very words that once expressed his deepest pain now become a testament to his unwavering faith. David's heart, once heavy with sorrow, now overflows with joy and gratitude. He sings not just for himself, but for all who will hear his testimony. He declares, "The Lord has done it." He recognizes God's deliverance. This acknowledgement is not just a statement of fact, but a profound declaration of faith. David understands that his deliverance is not by his own strength, but by the grace and power of God. His faith, tested in the fire, emerges stronger. Like a blacksmith forging metal, the trials David faced have refined his faith, making it more resilient and pure. This process of refinement is painful, but it is also necessary for growth and transformation. This turning point is significant. It marks a moment of decision, a crossroads where David chooses to trust in God's promises despite his circumstances. This choice is not easy, but it is essential for his spiritual journey. It reminds us that no matter how dark the night, the dawn will come. God is faithful. He hears our cries. He sees our pain. The night may be long and filled with suffering, but it is not eternal. The dawn, a symbol of hope and new beginnings, is always on the horizon, and in his perfect timing, he brings deliverance. God's timing is not always our timing, but it is always perfect. He knows the right moment to intervene, to bring relief and restoration. This deliverance is not just a rescue from our immediate troubles, but a deeper, more profound healing of our souls. Hold on to that hope. In times of trial and tribulation, it is this hope that sustains us. It is the belief that no matter how difficult our circumstances, God is with us, guiding us and ultimately delivering us. This hope is our anchor, our assurance that we are never alone. Section 7. Trusting the unseen, faith's triumph. David's faith was not based on circumstances, it was rooted in who God is. He trusted God even when he couldn't see the way out. This is the essence of true faith. It's trusting God even when we don't understand. It's believing his promises, even when we don't see them fulfilled. David's example challenges us. Are we willing to trust God even when life hurts? Can we believe in his goodness even when surrounded by darkness? Section 8. Your hope anchor. Clinging to God's promises. God's promises are our anchor in the storms of life. They are our source of hope when all else fails. He promises to never leave us nor forsake us. He promises to be our strength when we are weak. He promises to work all things together for our good. These promises are not mere words. They are backed by the character of God. He is faithful. He is good. He is love. Section 9. A future filled with hope, the final word. As we come to the conclusion of this journey, we reflect on the profound message that has been shared with us. This final word is not just an ending, but a beginning, a promise of what is to come. Psalm 22 ends with a message of hope. It is a chapter that begins with a cry of despair, but transitions into a declaration of faith and trust in God. This transformation from sorrow to joy is a powerful reminder of the hope that we have in our faith. It speaks of a future where all nations will worship God. This vision of unity and peace is something that we can all look forward to. It is a future where every tribe, tongue, and nation will come together in worship, breaking down the barriers that divide us, where his kingdom will reign supreme. This is not just a distant dream, but a reality that we can begin to experience even now. As we live out our faith, we bring a piece of God's kingdom to earth, showing his love and grace to those around us. This is the hope we have in Christ. It is a hope that is steadfast and sure, anchored in the promises of God. No matter what we face, we can hold on to this hope, knowing that Christ has overcome the world. A hope that extends beyond our present circumstances. It is a hope that looks beyond the trials and tribulations of this life, to the eternal joy that awaits us. This hope gives us the strength to persevere, to keep going even when the road is tough. A hope that reaches into eternity. It is a hope that is not limited by time or space, but one that stretches into the infinite. This eternal hope is a gift from God, a promise that we will be with him forever. Yes, we will face trials, we will experience pain, but these trials are not the end of the story. They are a part of our journey, a part of our growth. Through them, we learn to rely on God, to trust in his plan for our lives. But we don't have to face them alone. God is with us. He is our ever-present help in times of trouble. He walks with us through the valleys and leads us to the mountaintops. His presence is our comfort and our strength. So let's hold on to hope. Let's cling to the promises of God, knowing that he is faithful. Let's encourage one another, lifting each other up in prayer and support. Together we can face whatever comes our way. Let's trust in God's plan. Even when we don't understand, even when the path is unclear, we can trust that God is in control. His plans for us are good, plans to give us a future and a hope. And let's live each day with the assurance that He is in control. Let's live with the confidence that comes from knowing that our lives are in His hands. With this assurance, we can face each day with joy and peace, knowing that our future is secure in Him.